And we are live for our very first live. Gooch is at work. We thank you guys for joining us. Gooch is at work, so he can't be here tonight. I know that he's going to be disappointed with that.
So we are back
too,
without the B.
Yeah, we are just AK tonight. Frank Clark, don't get triggered.
How's it going, Jeremy? Glad you made it over.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it, Aaron. Let's start with, because we talked about day one in a pre-recorded video, but what were your feelings about yesterday? We were gonna do a live this morning and give our reactions to yesterday. So let's just start there.
So we're talking Skye Moore. I didn't find much on him, so I had him as a mid-third round grade. He looks to be fast. He looks to have some good hands. He's got a little more meat on his bones, so he is only 5'10", but he's close to 200.
Bill, I have no idea where Gooch is. He's so far all over the place. Like, one day he's in one place, another day he's in another place, and it's crazy. Like, I thought he said he would be back in the Kansas City area for the draft, but who knows? He gets a phone call and he has to just drop everything and come in. So it's kind of crazy there. Reminds you of Sammy Watkins. Yeah. A
little shorter.
Aaron, I had him as a mid-second, and so he wasn't my first guy, but all my first guys were getting drafted, right? I said yesterday what I wanted to see today was Breece Hall and Christian Watson, and so those guys went even earlier than I thought they would in the second. Not that we would have got them, but
we could have gotten Pickens, but yeah, we traded. We got a 5th rounder.
The Packers, I think they stole my list of players that I wanted because I think they did a pretty good job. I don't know about you, but there were probably 8 or 10 teams off the top of my head I'd say I thought had a pretty good draft. But Skye Moore, good hands. What I read, really great route runner. Someone in the Chiefs department said dependable, and so I don't know what receiver that was supposed to be a shot at. He doesn't run backwards, so right there with the loss of DeMarcus and having that, we should be good.
How's it going, Wink? Good to see you, Vale. Bill, of course. Jeremy, if you're in here.
Yeah, Jeremy was in here early.
There's Gooch.
Hey, Gooch is in the chat, but he's not live. What's up, Gooch? You know you can jump on your phone.
Now we have the being back. There's the wife. Okay, Liz is hearing the static. I thought maybe it was my headset.
Is that better?
No. Still, there we go. It might be now.
I can keep moving my microphone closer. Better?
A little bit, yeah. Okay, who else do we get? We got Brian Cook. I didn't know much about him either. And I had him as a 5th round because, I couldn't find anything.
I had him as a end of the second round. So,
Oregon.
I'm not Dan, and I'm not going to claim to be Dan, and I'm not going to claim to be the great guys from KCSN or Ryan or any of those guys. This was my first draft process because I usually hate to get my dreams crushed. And no, Liz, this is not Chargers blue. This is turquoise or something.
She has to be talking shit about something.
You know what? It's fair because whenever Seth comes on, I always give him a hard time.
Yeah, the mic's still going.
Let me work. Let me see if I can.
Thanks, Oregon. Okay, so yeah, those are the two guys I don't have much on. Leo Chanel, he's kind of shorter. I'm concerned about his coverage skills, but he's got a 40-inch vertical, so that will definitely help. Maybe acceptable in coverage. I'm not going to say high end, but we will have to wait and see. He's great against the run. Talk a little more.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest knock on me for Skye Moore, why I didn't have him higher, is simply because I wanted a little bit more height, and that's not a dig at McCole or Tyreek, but that just seemed the way that we're going, and let's just face it. I mean, I'm going to be honest. My favorite type of receivers are the Randy Mosses and the Megatrons out there, the unicorns, the guys that are tall and fast and can jump and get it. So, yeah, that's just like that's my preference. So it's not a knock on him per se, but that's why I had people like Watson ahead of him. But yeah, Chanel. You know, I got to see him play some just because, you know, I'm a Hawkeye fan, so I got to watch Iowa and Wisconsin play. Uh, I I think there's a group of linebackers, right, where it's kind of like if we get any of these guys, I'm pretty happy about it. And I'm just happy that they made linebacker a priority because I wasn't sure that they were going to. You know, I wasn't sure that they were going to see a third linebacker and third safety kind of a priority the way that I felt they should be. Um, and then we end the day with what? Three cornerbacks today, not to skip ahead, but we end the day with three cornerbacks and two safeties or four cornerbacks. I've seen some people list our last pick as a safety and some list them as a cornerback. But yeah, day two.
I don't know anything about Nazia Johnson out of Marshall.
Yeah.
Nazia.
Yeah, I had not seen or heard anything about him until he was selected, but
Pacheco, I've not heard anything about either, other than Dan was talking about his speed.
Right. Yeah, but Johnson, he was a former walk-on, and he has a 42-inch vertical. He was a 4-year starter. He played over 3,000 snaps and over 450 special team snaps. So I think that's probably when I saw that and saw the position he played, I figured this was a Dave Tobe pick right here. And so, and there's nothing wrong with that. Dave Tobe has his hands all over the roster. I mean, he's not just special teams coordinator; he is the assistant head coach. So, but yeah, he had elite explosion grades with that 42-inch vertical and 10-foot broad jump. Elite speed grade, he ran a 4.38, a 2.48 second 20-yard split, and a 1.52 second 10-yard split. So pretty good athletic profile. He's kind of a shorter guy though at 5'10". And if Holly's here, he has 9-inch hands.
Holly is interested in hands. What?
Holly has some kind of hand fetish. Holly, I'm not judging you if you're here, if you see this, but I just wanted to throw that out. Wink says 67 tackles, 5 PBUs this season.
Okay.
Oregon says could be a Kareem Hunt, like as far as impacting games with big plays. Think a McKinnon replacement. Yeah, we definitely needed some of that speed, and obviously, going off of memory here, his 40 is what 0.2 of a second faster than Creams was. So I wasn't throwing her under the bus, Liz. So.
And we did get a running back lady.
We did
so,
it. It might not have been the one that I wanted, but clearly this team evaluates the players that they have way differently than I do, and that's okay.
Not my Beatty either. We didn't get him either. But yeah, Bill, I think from today, Jalen Watson is my favorite. I did watch him some while I was building the board for RGR, and I didn't have him on my board, but I'm excited about him. He's 6'3", big, strong kid, 205. He's got some ball skills. He's got some coverage ability.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Spags just really spends training camp and everything, learning what's the limitations of these guys, what can they do, can I try them out here, just really moving them around and seeing what he has here. So
38-inch vertical, and what else was there? He ran a 4.4940. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he can do at this level.
Yeah, I think overall I'm excited. Like when you look at what they did, I'm excited. I think probably where it wasn't what they did that I didn't like. It was what maybe I wanted, or players that I wanted them to pick that they didn't, or players that I wanted them to get who weren't there, that maybe kind of had me, disappointed. I don't want to say frustrated, but disappointed. There weren't a whole lot of players where when they were picking, I was like, okay, you better pick this guy or I'm going to be angry. Usually by that point, they were already gone, right? And so, yeah, but back to Pacheco. Is it? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I don't either.
What I have in my
We'll
notes on him, I do have like a few things in notes on him. What I have on here is that he can take it to the house, which is something we definitely need, especially without McKinnon here. We need explosive run plays, and CEH just isn't capable of that.
I'd really like to see Gore get some reps, a lot more reps than last year.
Yeah, I want to see him get some. He still doesn't quite have the juice for. I mean, he can occasionally do it, but he doesn't have the juice to like ever really take it to the house there. But my note says that Isaiah can, but he lacks power, which we don't necessarily need. He's not going to be, a 3-down running back, and he lacks vision. So those are notes that I have there.
Any clue on his hands?
You're right, Oregon. You have to suck to be able to draft those guys unless you're willing to trade up, which ironically the Lions both do suck, and they were able to draft up to trade up to 12 to get Jamison Williams without giving up a first. But we talked about that yesterday, so we're gonna move on there. Watson could end up being the CB1. Yeah.
He could. I think it'd take a couple of years, though. He does need to get some time under his belt, especially with Spags.
I will say,
he
though,
doesn't like starting rookies.
Yeah, 42 picks. I'll say, though, like, I wasn't disappointed in Ward this last year. I thought for the most part he did, a really good job. He's never going to have that, agility or, that ability to quickly accelerate or move laterally like that. But he did a great job sticking, in the pockets of receivers, even in the Bengals game. And I know he gets a lot of hate, because everyone just remembers Jamar Chase jumping over him to make that, 3rd and 27 catch. But he was right there. And I think I said it at the time, and I'll say it over and over again. Ward was right there. And it took a perfect throw by Burrow, and it took a perfect timed and all the vertical that Chase could muster in order for him to come down with that catch and then to get his feet in bounds. Now, if there's anything Ward could have done better there, maybe he could have been able to push Chase out of bounds. I don't know. But, like, I'm not going to knock Ward. I'm actually sad that he's gone. Do I wish he had a little bit better speed? Yeah.
Yeah. I've always liked Ward. I know he has a problem with getting his head around at the ball, but when he seemed to do that a bit better this season, and got a pick over Devontae Adams. I believe Snead did that game as well.
Okay. Bill says he likes Josh Williams better.
I forgot about him. We got great value for that guy. I want to say I had him as a second, and we got him in the fourth.
Yeah, I had him end of third.
Okay, yeah, I did have late third, and we got him in the fourth, mid fourth.
Yeah, he was the 13th on my board.
Also, Kennard, I had him as a mid third, and we got him in the fifth round with 145.
Yeah, I felt like Veach got really good value in this draft, like where he was drafting, for the most part with his trades, like he was, I don't want to say safe Veach, but that's kind of the word that comes to mind. He was safe Veach. He wasn't like overly aggressive. I guess you would say maybe the term is controlled aggression because he did go up to 21 when he had to. But yeah. Liz Morrow, I don't know who that is, asks, how do we see Fortson doing this year coming off his major injury?
Hopefully he leaves off where he was. He can get those jump balls that Mahomes was actually throwing up to him. He obviously trusts him. So hopefully more of that. Not necessarily down the field as much. What did he tear? Was it a knee or was it his Achilles? I don't remember at this point.
Right, it's been a long year. I thought it was his ACL or Achilles. This says knee.
But yeah, hopefully starts where he left off.
Torn Achilles.
Okay.
Which makes it tough. ACL injuries, as medicine progresses, I think you can be more and more optimistic about ACL injuries, but I don't know that I'm as optimistic on Achilles injuries, but everything I've heard is that he's progressing right on time. Will that hurt some of his vertical? I would think it probably would. Then you have to watch out for compensations in his other leg. So, yeah, probably the biggest handicap though is the whole mental thing. Like the first day that he's able to push off and jump up without thinking, oh God, am I going to do something? If I put any like torque on my foot here,
like we saw with Thornhill.
Yeah,
his first
it does.
Season back.
Have you? I've torn my MCL before. I don't know if you've had a knee injury or a leg injury or anything, but that was my biggest thing, right? It took me a long time before I wasn't like up in my head, what am I going to do here?
I had a bit of a dislocation when Mahomes did his knee. Mine was a couple days before. I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so I've got loose joints, and they kind of do funny things. And I got it back in, and I was fine myself. Didn't have somebody do it for me. But yeah, it was kind of weird because Mahomes happened a couple days later.
I'm sure Liz would have helped you if she knew that it would have brought pain.
I was at work at the time. It would have brought me relief to put it back in. So
well, she wouldn't have done it then. Oregon, congratulations on retiring early. You'll have to tell us
hell yeah,
the secret of your success.
He's salmon fishing then. I'm surprised we got him on here.
Oh, Liz, you've actually torn your Achilles twice?
We thought she may have done it the third time. She was afraid to go to the doctor or anything. She's like, I don't want to do surgery again.
So she would know better than any of us.
Yep.
Well, I think what helps though is, these guys have state of the art training facilities, rehab, all of that stuff to help them come back. So I'm gonna try to be optimistic here and hope that when Fortson comes back that he's basically gonna be where he left off. I mean, he's obviously had another year to do everything that's not physical. He can do mental reps and stuff like that. Learn all the ins and outs of the playbook. Hopefully, he's been in Travis's ear all year round because we know that, right? We learned in the Bills playoff game that Travis is basically the actual receivers coach on this team, right? He told Tyreek what to do to get open on that play.
Well, he was coaching Mahomes up a little bit there too.
So, I mean, he's, we kind of take that part for granted, but really he is. So
yeah.
But
yeah, I was actually going to bring that up, Oregon, of how it affected DJ. I don't remember if it was his first tear or first Achilles or the second one, but I thought we were going to possibly win the Super Bowl that year. And then it was either the last game of the season, regular season, or it was first game of the playoffs. He tore the other one, I want to say. And I was like, crap, there it goes. And we did win that first game in the playoffs, but lost the second without him. So, yeah, it can have a giant effect.
Right.
He came back from the first one pretty well. But, yeah, that second one, that slowed him way down. That's when we cut him.
Let's see, but how old was he when that happened, though? I don't remember what year that was. Was that like 2012?
When did we play basketball, Liz?
2016.
We went bowling.
So overall, how would you grade? Do you want to grade each day, or do we want to just grade the whole draft?
Well, we could grade each player and say the overall. So I'm basically going to go with where I had them. So McDuffie, I had an early mid-round, so like 12-ish. So that's a definite A for me. I like that kid a lot.
Yeah, he was my fifth corner, and I had him 21 to 32 range. So, well, with like Stingley, well, not Stingley, but like with Booth, it's hard to know. Like, we don't have all the injury information that the teams, have on there. But yeah, so I had him in that 21 to 32 range. So, yeah, again, as I said with Skye Moore, I'm a little concerned with the height. I'd like him to be a little taller. It's kind of its own discussion of, do do you knock a guy who has shown you awesome production in college? In the NFL, to me, just because you've had great college production doesn't mean you're going to have great NFL production. You can have great technique, and I think that's a lot more helpful than just, great production. But when you get to the NFL, I'd like to see you be a little bit taller, a little bit more athletic. But I want to be careful because I don't want to end up being Spags and being locked into, oh, this guy can rush the passer, but he's a quarter of an inch too short, and his arms, a quarter of an inch too short for my specifications at edge. So we're not even going to think about drafting him. I don't want to get locked into that. So I'd give it an A.
There.
I'd give it an A, but
Yeah.
I'm still, yeah. I'm sure they'll use him though, so that it's not that big of an issue. And as we said, I think yesterday, he's got a fantastic vertical, so that makes up for some of it.
He's an A+ for me. And then Karlaftis, I had him as an early second, which 30 somewhat is, I suppose, but not my favorite guy. I think I like him a little bit more than Ryan and Dan, but
there's Holly. Holly, welcome in. We were talking about you.
Having a hand fetish. It was Steve Word's, not mine.
I don't even remember now. I gave somebody his hand size. Anyway, so you had him as an early second. I actually had him again in that 21 to 32 range, and that was my sixth edge off the board, and so
I'll give him a B. Oh yeah, McDuffie was my third, and I had Booth ahead of him. I actually had Stingley in the second round, which, I mean, I watched highlights, which I said on a previous video, and I was seeing him screw up so bad, and it's highlights, so I'm not a guy that can get a bunch of film like the other guys can, like Dan and Ryan, but yeah, I have highlights to watch, and he's getting beat left and right in his highlights. So, number 3 overall, good luck. That's right. The Texans for you.
Yeah, and I'm there with you. Of course, I was probably less fair to him because I went out and watched the video that showed him going up against Jerry Jeudy, Jameson Williams, and Henry Ruggs, and I think one other receiver, who are all NFL receivers, well, quality receivers now, except for Ruggs, but yeah, but so I had him 21 to 32 range for Karlaftis, so I can't really give him a low grade, but the pick to me, I think and it's hard because we don't know, right? Jermaine Johnson fell a lot compared to where he was expected to go, so we don't know, everything that all the teams know. So for me, and it kind of depends on what they do with him. I give it a B+.
That's on Karlaftis?
Yeah, on Karlaftis. So Skye Moore. Day 2, Skye Moore.
I'll give him a B on Karlaftis. Skye Moore, I had him as a mid-third, and we got him at 54 in the second. So I'll give that a B- for me.
Well, I'm gonna give it a B+ again. I had him as a mid-second, right after Treylon Burks, and Burks went what, 17, 18? He went way he went way earlier than I thought he was gonna go to the Titans. But I had Skye Moore as my next receiver after him in the mid-second. So Chiefs got him at 54. So to me, that that's about right where he was expected to go. So I'll give him a B+, A- there. Again, I just wish he was just a tad bit taller, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said earlier, I wasn't able to find a whole lot of tape on him, so that could be on me. So we've got Brian Cook next, another guy I didn't know, I couldn't find anything on. I didn't watch him at all, so I had him as a 5th round. But you were telling me he never gave up a touchdown, so I have to. And I do know that he hits hard.
Yeah,
So I do like that.
he is fun to watch, and I know I'm trying to think, who was it? Oh, I think it was Richard Sherman that gave him labels like an enforcer. Talked about how smart and aggressive he is. He's kind of the descriptions I've heard. It's not, it's never fair to give a comp to any of these guys, but the comp out there was, he's kind of our young Tyrann Mathieu now. So, Liz, go out, watch some highlights, and tell us what you think.
And that was Brian Cook. I'll give him a B plus on that one, even though I didn't have the value there, just because I don't know much about him. And
Holly,
yeah,
Holly, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe, though, I'm looking at Wink's comment here about Pickens. I believe when we were in Thunder Dan's chat last night, there was something in there about Pickens bullying or getting in a fight with an autistic kid in school when he was in school.
Really? Okay. Yeah, that changes my opinion a bit because I was with Wink on this one.
I could be mixing him up with someone else. Holly, if you remember, let us know in the chat.
Behind
yeah.
players.
Holly says that's right. Pickens beat up an autistic kid when he was in high school. So I don't know if there were other things there.
Hopefully he's grown up since then.
Right. And, I do want to say that because I'm not someone who believes that, we can't grow, we can't learn, and that we can't get second chances. So I don't know what's came after that. But, I mean, he did fall farther than I think, a lot of us had him falling. So, yeah. Otherwise, but we don't know that stuff. I had Pickens as my 6th receiver after Watson. So
I could see that.
Bill says the only knock on Cook was that he didn't start until recently, but yeah, he was behind other NFL players.
That's fine by me. So we're on to Chanel.
Yeah. Oh, this kid is like the more I'm reading, the more I dig into him, and the more I learn about him. Oh, he's fun. Like there are some of those guys that just have that mentality, right? Like Trevor Penning went way earlier than I thought he was going to go, but if the circumstances had fallen that way, we could have used an upgrade at right tackle, and we'll talk about that here when we get to the Kennard pick. But
right.
One of my favorite things about Penning was he reportedly watches horror movies the night before games to get into character. And Leo Chenal, he's like, he loves destroying people. I think he referred to himself as like a heat-seeking missile. And again, I had to watch him on the other side, as a Hawkeye fan. So I'm super excited about Chenal. But
he goes downhill well, and he hits the running backs, man.
Right, and he was lumped in. There was 4 or 5 receivers or linebackers he was kind of lumped in again, right? For me, it was like Muma, Troy Anderson, Leo Chenal, and Channing Tindall. And I was going to be happy if we got any of those 4. I was going to be happy, and so I'm super excited for him. We picked him up at, what was it, 62?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, we got
no. 103.
No, we got him at 103. I had him as a mid-second. So
I had him as a late second, but the value is great. I will take it.
right. So I'm giving that one an A plus. I'm giving it an A plus, one, because I had him as a mid-second, not that I could be wrong. But two, when you think about any other linebacker we had last year outside of Bolton and Gay, and you think about him coming in, like the difference between every other linebacker and what we expect him to be, I'm going to go ahead and give it an A plus.
We could send him on blitzes too. We could actually have Gay on one side and him on the other, and make them guess which one's going to blitz.
Right, and
I would love to see some of that.
I've heard a lot of people questioning whether he can even line up on the line, you know, and be a third down rusher for us.
If Karlaftis can, I think this kid can.
Well, I mean, I think that the big difference is Karlaftis has at least some pass rush moves in his repertoire. As a linebacker, you don't really work on those same types of things. It's not that he couldn't learn
his
some
hands
things
pretty
though,
well.
but
okay, so Chanel, I would have rather had Muma, but I'm sure I'll get behind this kid. So I'll give it an A minus. So we're on to Joshua Williams, which, yeah, I do like this kid too. Great value there. I had him as a late third, and we got him at 135, late fourth.
right, same here. He was a late third on my board. I was kind of surprised to see the Chiefs go back to cornerback, though. I really thought that we were gonna double dip on defensive end and wide receiver, but man, was I wrong.
Yeah. Liz was starting to get frustrated.
will
I
be
know
on
with
as long as my kids let us be on. So if we're not still here when you get back, Holly, take care.
Good to see you. We'll have you on here eventually. Okay, so Josh Williams, with that kind of value, getting a whole round, I have to give that an A, if not an A plus.
Yeah,
and the kid's got talent.
I don't know. I'm gonna give it a B plus because I think there were still some corners there that I wanted more, and so yeah, I'm gonna give it a B plus. It does fit the value. I just think there were still some that I had who I had higher, and they were still valuable, and we passed on them. And again, just a little bit taller, a little bit faster, but I understand what Veach was doing here. He got really good, solid players with pretty high floors. I'm just seeing everybody load up with receivers and getting faster and taller. I would like to make sure that we're not just getting faster at corner, but we're also getting a little quicker as well, or taller and quicker as well.
I had a big draft crush on Monteric Busta Brown out of Arkansas. I wanted to see that kid here. And there's obviously something I didn't see because I had him at a beginning of the fourth type, and he was taken in the sixth, I believe. The Jacksonville jumped on him, and I was a little disappointed in that and that we didn't get him. But like I said before, the last draft crush was Hunt, and see how that turned out.
Yeah, you'll have to show me there because I had him as the top of the sixth round corner on my board.
Yeah, there's got to be something you saw that I didn't. Were you able to get actual film? I know you do. All
Oregon,
22.
take care, have fun, enjoy retirement, send us some salmon, give us some advice on money. Um,
Glad you hopped on with us. Always
you
good to
know,
talk to you.
Wink says proves we weren't expecting to get a cornerback in the first.
I
Um,
agree.
I don't know about that. Veach, his presser, his draft presser that he did a week or so ago, he kind of hinted at it, right? Because
Yeah.
he took the time to go in depth to explain that he's not against getting a cornerback in the first round. That there just hasn't been a marriage where circumstance and opportunity and value and everything come together to where it made sense for them to do it. And so in that presser, he kind of planted the seed that they might be going cornerback. And I think probably I think a lot of it was so many people were convinced that we were trading 29 and 30 to move up to draft Jameson, or or they were convinced that we were going to get a receiver and an edge in the first. Um,
I would disagree with them on the marriage not being there prior to this, but yeah, I thought it could have been smoke and mirrors. And how long have we wanted him to get a first round corner? He finally does it, so I didn't expect it. You can say
well,
anything before the draft.
I didn't not expect it though because I truly believe that Veach. Well, one, we knew they were going to have to get a corner, right, because of Ward leaving. Um, well, Ward left, Hughes left. Uh, was there another one? I mean, we basically had Legarius and Rashad Fenton. So
And then Baker, and that's it.
yeah, well, and then I mean, if you're gonna count Baker, then you got to count what's his name, Luke Baroque or something like that, who
I
had
don't
just
know
like
who you're
an
talking about.
he's a former I think he's a former first round pick from like a couple of years ago, but he has like an out of this world athletic profile, that
Hmm.
they signed this off season. I think it's Luc Baroque or something like that, Luke Baroque. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would never. I. This is why when people asked who's Veach taking, I always, I jokingly said he's going to take the best player available at a position of need. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, he doesn't see the draft that we do the same way that we do when we're doing our mock drafts. You know. Anyway, back to grades. So Darian Kinnard, round 5. We don't know if he's a guard or a tackle. He played right tackle at Kentucky. I think he
I
was
had
in.
him as a mid third.
I've seen some people calling him guard, so I don't know if the Chiefs have made any determination there one way or the other. But he has guard tackle versatility, and
What you sent me earlier, it almost sounded like Trey had hit his ceiling, according to one of the scouts, was it? The Chiefs scouts. And so he could be a replacement there, but he's definitely big enough to play tackle. And they kind of what would you say? They said he could be guard or tackle, I guess.
yeah, I
And
don't.
we talked quite a bit about this one. But yeah, I'm giving this one an A plus.
So
But
the
Kennard,
quote was from Pat Sperduto, who's a chief scout, who said who mentioned Trey Smith's ceiling that he had early on, um, as Kennard's potential. So Trey Smith's.
oh
So I think that means Trey Smith's potential, before he got that far into the season, and we saw what he could really do. Um,
yeah, he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. So
But
I misunderstood the quote, I guess.
yeah, I think that's the way it is though. But I sent you some clips, and I think he looks a lot nimbler on his feet, relatively speaking, than Orlando Brown does. They're both big guys, um, but Orlando, like if you go back and you look at his relative athletic score, he was a statue.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like I'm pretty sure without even training for it, I'm pretty sure that I could put up a better relative athletic score than Orlando did, other than the size things, right? Because that's where he excelled,
Of
height
course.
and weight.
Yeah, I think Brown has about 20 pounds on him still, but he's got some growing to do muscle wise. So he'll catch up to him. But I still want to give Niang a chance. Keys, what were you saying?
I think at this point, they were trying to get Niang to be swing tackle last year, right? They were giving him that training at left tackle so that he could be the swing tackle. And when Brown went out, they put him over there
And that's a
in
way to
that
keep
in
him
that
healthy.
game. Yeah, I've been concerned, and I'm still concerned about his injury history. Like hip injuries themselves are indicative of bigger problems and exacerbate, every little thing moving forward. Like when your kinetic chain is out of line, you're gonna end up with certain muscles overcompensating and other muscles, not doing the work that they should, and that's where you get muscle imbalances, and that's where you start to see injuries happen. And it's a bigger deal, at that hip point. And he already had a major hip injury before we drafted him, and now, the one season we see him, and he's actually playing, and he had a whole year of COVID time to recover from his hip injury. The one time we see him, he can't even make it through the season without getting injured. So that's concerning to me.
You've kind of started to talk me into it. It's a way to keep Niang healthy, and can you really get a better swing tackle? I mean, Niang I had as I want to say, first or second round grade then when he was drafted in the third. It was just, yeah, he was injured. So he didn't finish out
Right.
the year, and then he took off a year with us, and then he got hurt. So it's a way to keep him healthy, and you can't really do better than that. He'd be better than Wiley, even though Wiley did a commendable job at right tackle last year once Niang went down. So this Kennard kid could go ahead and be the right tackle. That's what he played.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, he was one of Jeff Schwartz's one of his big what is it, Big Boys Club or whatever. He was one of Jeff's guys. So and um, Duke
Exactly, Bill.
Duke was working with him. So yeah, competition and insurance against injury. Yeah, absolutely. And how do you feel, Bill, and anybody else watching right now? But to me, the thing that kept sticking out to me about this draft, and I don't mean this like in a derogatory way, but it felt safe. Like we were taking higher floor players. For the most part, we were taking, at least early on, we were taking players that already have like the technical things down. Um, and as I'm thinking about it, I think the difference in a lot of ways with this draft, and I'm sure Veach has grown, as a GM, but I think in a lot of ways the difference between this draft and previous drafts, where we had more complete teams in previous drafts, and we're replacing a lot of players this year. Like we're not, it's not that we had a full
Next
roster.
year.
It's not that we had a full roster, so any player that we drafted this year, was going to be icing on the cake to where we could take big swings and, we could live with it if we struck out instead of hitting a home run. Whereas this year, we have a lot of holes to fill. We need starters, and we couldn't take those same swings because we couldn't, we wouldn't make it through a swing and a miss the same way.
And you don't have him jumping straight on his crush in the second round. The bubbling second rounder we all know as Speaks. So, yeah, I'd say he's definitely grown and he's definitely gotten more conservative. He's still aggressive, but way more conservative.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to take probably another year or two of drafts before we know. But
For sure.
oh yeah, I definitely think that we needed an overhaul on special teams, and I think we definitely got it through these 3 days. Wink. All right, so moving on.
So Liz said she got
Oh, we didn't give
something
our
pop up
grades.
draft. Oh, mine was an A plus. I thought I said that class. So the Chiefs have one of the best grades for the class.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Liz, because I've heard a lot of people loving on the draft. I saw Chris Sims on Twitter multiple times, like basically doing cartwheels and backflips, just in love with the players that we took. I'm
Oh, I
gonna
didn't even
say,
know that on age. Bill's saying that the first 5 picks were all 21 years old.
yeah, we
That's
took
good to
young
know.
guys. Um, let's see, we took Kennard at 145, fifth round. I
Yeah,
had him. I gotta look here. I had him as a mid third. I had him as a guard though. I had him as a mid third guard. So
I
we
did as
got
well.
him. We got him with pick number 2 of round 5. So yeah, I would say that's an A. That's a solid A.
I gave an A plus on that. So where are we next?
That leaves us with Jalen Watson, or 3 seventh rounders. Jalen Watson,
Ooh,
cornerback. I had him as a top middle-ish of the 4th round on my board.
I did not have him on my board, but I did watch him and I did like him. He's a big, strong kid, 6'3", 205. He hits people. They feel it for sure for a couple days.
We'll do a tiebreaker here, and I'll look at Ryan's board to see where Ryan Tracy had him. Ryan had him as a mid 5th rounder.
Hmm.
So
That may have changed my
I was
mind a
about
bit.
around different. But yeah, Ryan had him as a mid 5th. I had him a mid 4th. Either way, Ryan had him as mid 5th, and he went in the 7th. So um, let's see. I forget what the information I sent you about Watson was, but
I know he's 6'3", runs a 4.49, 38-inch vertical.
he's
Got some ball
another
skills
Spags
too.
guy. We definitely we definitely improved the depth in the DB room. There's no doubt about the intentionality they spent to just flat out increase the depth in the CB safety. The whole DB room. And if they hit on these guys, or half of these guys, and we probably, we need to temper. See a wink. We need to temper
Good
our
to see a wink.
expectations because we ended
That's
up
for 7.
with 10 players. It's going to be hard to see 10 players making this roster, right? Like that would be unheard of. And so, we really do have to temper our expectations there. Now, I think we'll probably end up with more than 3 or 4 simply because we had 4 first and seconds, right? So if all 4 of those guys aren't on the roster, something's wrong.
Sorry if you can hear the dogs, guys.
I can't hear your dogs. If they can hear your dogs, they can hear my kids outside playing.
I can't hear your kids.
So
8 of them now?
8. Yep.
Might as well be 18.
I saw someone on the RGR stream say something to Dan Harms about
his one daughter.
Yeah, about parenting one child. But yeah, so Watson, it's a Spags guy. It's good depth. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a B plus. Again, that's because I still had a couple players at that position that I would have taken ahead of him. But that brings us to Pacheco.
I'll go ahead and give him a B, even though I didn't have him on my board.
Watson?
Yes, I like him.
Watson. Pacheco I had as a top of the 7th round. So we got him with pick 30 of the 7th round. So
I know nothing of him whatsoever.
He's got speed. He's got speed. So
what you need out of the running back
as
position.
a 7th round pick, I'm gonna give it a solid B. Okay. I mean, who knows if he makes the team or not? Again, somebody's gonna not make the team. I think the last time I looked at our roster, which was a few days ago, there was about 45 players that I saw pretty much being solid locks for making the team. Maybe that's closer to 40, who knows, but I think at least 45, and that would leave 8 on a 53-man roster. But who knows?
You got my wife to the right saying, still didn't draft a kicker like I have been calling for 2 years. That's because people don't draft kickers.
They did today.
I'm aware they did today.
That was the funny thing. So like all of these playoff teams were taking punters and kickers, right, who actually had some finesse to their game or whatever. And then the one guy that everyone knows, like, the big-footed boot of a punter keeps slipping and slipping. And then the Bills say, you know what, we're going to take this guy. And I'm pretty sure the Bills just don't care about things like hang time or coffin corner kicks. I think this was more of a screw you to our offense. Like, we're gonna let them kick it 70 yards and make you go the length of the field. Sorry, what do you think, Aaron?
My wife had to talk more shit. Sorry. What was the question?
I said I think that the Bills taking the so-called punt god was a way to say screw you, to just utterly
everyone.
I mean, here's the funny thing, though. Here's why I don't understand it for the Bills, and it's not that they can't teach the kid. They hardly
punt.
Well, it's not that they can't teach the kid to kick with hang time, or to aim for a corner, but even when they do punt, how often are they going to punt, that far from inside the 50-yard line?
Right.
Who cares if the kid can punt at 60 or 70 yards? The only time that's effective is if you're punting from like your 35 or less. How many drives do they have, right? If you take a touchback, you're starting at your own 25, and that offense isn't capable of getting 10 yards.
Right.
So if you get much farther than the 35, chances are he's going to kick a touchback.
But how many fourth downs did they go for on us? Just in the playoffs,
We're totally
like 10.
We're totally off topic here, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised teams didn't go. I'm honestly surprised teams didn't go for it a lot more against our defense on fourth downs. And I don't want to dog our defense because there were definitely times when and you could tell there were times when they were locked in. You know, like I think it was against the Chargers and a couple other teams, and they made some huge fourth down stops. But then there were games where they couldn't stop anyone, and teams were still punting on fourth and fairly short. And I was surprised that they weren't, just going for it on fourth a lot more.
It was an 86-yarder, Liz. But yeah, they still went for it a lot on us. But I think they'll be second guessing it now with the kids we picked up.
So Pacheco, I think it's Pacheco. Pick 30 of the 7th round.
C for me.
We'll see if he makes the roster. I'm going to go with B. I don't know. He could bring something into special teams. He's going to bring some speed that we don't have, and he's a 7th rounder. So I mean,
I gotta see it.
It's kind of a lottery ticket at this point. So I'll give him a B for that. I'd give him higher, but there were some players that were still on the board for me that I wanted to see him grab.
So some of Bill's draft crushes were Elam, James Cook, and Khalil Shakir. Elam I had actually above Stingley, honestly. And then James Cook. Yeah, I liked him a lot, the running back. Yeah, I wanted him. I had a 3rd round grade on him. He might have been my second choice after Hall. And Shakir, Ryan said quite a bit about him. He liked him a lot too. I wouldn't have minded that.
It's not that I didn't have these guys graded well, because I had Elam as a back at the 1st round. Grade, I had James Cook was
top of the 2nd for me.
Cook, where are you at? I actually had him as a 4th rounder. Where did he go? I had him as a 4th rounder, and Khalil Shakir I had as a top of the 3rd on my board. But
too.
It's a decent haul for them, but I thought they could have gotten better. I'm really glad they didn't do what the mock drafts were showing, because I was getting sick thinking about them taking Breece Hall at 25 or wherever it was. Like, Breece Hall on that offense would have been like Breece Hall on our offense.
And yeah, maybe he didn't need to be developed, but they can't develop running backs. So I think they've ruined what running backs they've had.
Yeah, Bill says he doesn't take running backs before the 4th. I'm not for taking one before the 2nd, but I'll definitely take one there if it.
Uh-oh.
I'm reading Liz's comment.
Yeah, I was too.
Stan's Kool-Aid on what?
Such a bitch.
If there is a running
My
back
wife.
that I think is dynamic, and there were a lot of things, and I'm not going to go over this again because we already did that video, and Aaron can tell you, I was texting Gooch and Aaron all these different things, whether it was athletic testing, whether it was highlights, whatever it was, whether it was college stats, whatever. To me, Breece Hall.
Kool-Aid woman.
Brees Hall is a 3-down running back who is a good pass catcher. He's got lots of speed. He makes players miss. Like,
he's big.
yeah, and it's not like
6'1", 220,
he's tiny.
225.
So to me, he was that guy.
One-handed catches.
There's not that. I don't think there's any other running back I would have drafted, as early as Hall. And yeah, the next guy I had on my board was Walker, but I had him as a mid-second. And Brees Hall, even though I don't believe in drafting running backs in the first, I couldn't help myself. I put him at the end of the first, even though I knew he wasn't going in the first, and I wouldn't have wanted us to draft him in the first. So, but yeah. Anyway, I'm giving Pacheco a B. Johnson, again, I think he's possibly possibly a special teamer. This pick has Dave Tobe written all over it to me. We get him at the end. Again, there's still players that I would have loved to seen us get there. Like
he's out of Rutgers, not a bad school.
I liked Isaiah Weston still on the board though. A tall, fast, athletic wide receiver from University of Northern Iowa, and Marquand McQuall, who was a defensive tackle out of Kentucky, who is a monster of a man, who I would have seen being there. He would have been an early down guy to put next to Chris Jones and just occupy space, right, on early downs and running situations, goal line situations.
I know what's wrong with Verone McKinley, how that guy didn't get drafted.
Yeah, I had him as a mid.
I
had him as a mid-third.
I believe that's where I had him too. Let's see. Whoops, too far.
Why no running back in the first round? Liz, are you asking why we wouldn't take one in the first, or?
The value isn't there whatsoever. I had him beginning of the fourth.
See, that's
McKinley.
That's kind of the hard. Yeah, I had him as a mid-third. That's kind of a hard one because, right, if you're drafting a Barry Sanders or a Derrick Henry, or a Jonathan Taylor, one of those guys, if you know for sure that that's who you're drafting, then yeah, it makes it hard to say why not the first round. But the problem is there's so many good running backs that you can get all throughout the draft, and even in undrafted free agency. Priest Holmes.
Oh, Barry Sanders.
Priest Holmes was an undrafted free agent, right? There's all kinds of running backs we can name that were undrafted free agents, right? Philip Lindsay, he was an undrafted free agent. I mean, you can throw all these guys in there. Jamal Charles was a third-round pick.
So was Hunt. And
Trent Richardson was he was a top 5 pick. And what happened in his career? No, the running back for the Browns from 10 years ago.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
he was a can't miss running back.
He had one good season, I want to say.
Saquon, and nothing against him, but you get one injury there, and I think
he's been injured ever since, pretty much.
It's a position where you're setting yourself up to get injured so badly and so much. They have a shelf life of 4 or 5 years.
Some running backs can't have to get around in a wheelchair now. It's a rough position. You're getting hit every time you get the ball, just about. You got to go through those 300-pound guys. How easy is that to do when you're 205?
Right. It's just fit. It's so physically demanding, Liz. That's that's the main reason why. But again, we always say that with hindsight bias, because if you knew for sure, that you were getting one of these guys, I mean, who wouldn't? But the problem is when you think you're getting one, I mean, you played fantasy. No, did she didn't play fantasy football in our league, did she? No, but the biggest thing that you'll learn if you play fantasy football is how hard it is to trust that position.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but my wife has a bit of a temper, so fantasy football can go badly for any of us.
Well, and if you're in a league with Gooch, like where he will try to bring out whatever ounce of temper you have.
They do it to each other too.
But yeah, I mean, whether Saquon Barkley was supposed to be the next best thing, and then he gets injured. Christian McCaffrey probably saved my fantasy football season by getting injured. Cole had him on his roster and he got injured. And that went a great lengths to saving my season. So even when these guys are like, top level running backs, it's just so hard to stay healthy.
Indeed. So on to the last pick of the draft that I'm not sure on his name either. I'm going to say Nazia Johnson. He is a safety apparently out of Marshall. I'm going to go ahead and give this a D because I know nothing of him, never heard of him. And it's not even a bad school.
Right. I didn't have him on my board. I didn't know anything about him either. I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna give him a. I'm gonna give him a B- on this one. I think I said earlier that this was a Dave Toub pick in my estimation. This was utterly Dave Toub picking this player. I don't expect that, if he makes the roster, he's really going to see any time on defense. But he does have a decent athletic profile. He's got poor size because he's only 5'10", but he has an elite explosion grade because he has a 42-inch vertical, a 10-foot broad jump. He has elite speed because he has a 4.38. He ran a 4.38 40, a 2.48 20-second split, and a 1.52 10-second split. And then his shuttle and his three-cone times weren't bad either. So he ran a 4.28 on the shuttle and a 6.95 on the three-cone. So
what is your grade on him?
So I think I said a B-. I mean, he has I like the athletic profile there, and I really think he's going to be a special teams guy for for Toub. So, maybe he's going to have to ball out, to make the roster, but I think he would have a decent chance over some of the guys that Veach brought in, kind of at the end of the roster type guys like, I can't think of his name.
53 or
Devin.
Practice squad?
If they see something in him, maybe practice squad, but I think right now I would see 52, 53, and he's beating out one of the veterans that they just brought in for a special team spot, is what I would see.
I didn't know we could do this. So I'm putting this up there because I believe I said pretty much this earlier.
I got to sit up higher now.
I like it, Oregon. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a good point, and it's something that I've been wondering myself.
I may have said it on Dan's stream though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they didn't seem like they were that interested in free agency either. Like they didn't seem like they had any sense of urgency in free agency to go out and really add to the defensive line like I thought they would. Because usually Veach will go out and he'll plug holes so he's not forced to overdraft players.
Right.
And then when they only get Karlaftis, I don't know. Maybe they do think that they'll be able to bring back Ingram.
Not even any tackles. I mean, I know we got Saunders and who's the other one? Naughty.
Yeah, we have those guys. We have Wharton coming back.
I love Wharton. I wanted to see more of him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just don't know. I don't know if they're planning to bring Ingram back, or if they have something up their sleeve, or they simply think that there's going to be some veterans cut, and it could be. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. To me, I'm wondering if they really think that Cullen is going to make a bigger difference coaching the defensive line than Brendan Daly was.
And I do know that there was already one sent out that of UDFA signings. It was like right away, right after the draft.
Yeah, they were coming in quick, right? I do not have bolts on my shirt, Liz.
I don't know what she means by that. What does Bill have here? Made a play in one of the senior All-Star games. Right on. Who was that, though? That made the play? Might let us know real quick in the chat. Can't give 7th round picks a grade.
I would agree with that.
Can't disagree with him, yeah.
That's how I view 7th round picks. Is they're players that the team is afraid that they won't be able to sign as UDFAs because they expect there to be some competition.
So good point.
Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to, because we were in the RGR stream and then we both just jumped over here, so I haven't even got a chance to look at UDFAs yet.
Nope. Somebody posted one as we were getting ready to get out of Dan's video. Immediate special teamer.
They've been coming in quickly, though. I know that.
I like Ely a lot. I wouldn't mind seeing him get signed on to be a UDFA.
I don't think Isaiah Weston got drafted. He was one of the guys I would have liked to have seen.
Such a brat.
Okay, let's see.
That's how it pronounced, Bill? So I thought it was N-A-Z. Which, yeah.
Okay.
Ryan's the one that knows how to pronounce names. He just can't write them. Chris Clark gives him so much crap about that. I guess what Ryan does really is voice to text. And we all know how that can work out. So some of his texts can be a little weird. Not always positive what he's saying. So you can only see that being put into an article, how great that would go.
All right, here's the UDFAs that I'm seeing so far for the Chiefs. Kent State quarterback Dustin Crum. He had 3,100 yards and 20 touchdowns this past year. clearly that'd just be, another body in camp. It would be surprising if he even got a chance to compete with Shane Bichelle, given that they actually brought him up onto the roster to protect him last year.
I don't think I should have put that one up.
Devin Carrington, running back, received an invite to Chiefs rookie mini camp. He was a UVA/Harvard running back. Mike Rose of Iowa State. I think I had him on my board.
So yeah, I know Ryan reading the chats can't always get names correct, but he always tries to get players' names right or get names correct after that. But to start with, yeah, you are right.
Mike Rose, I had as a 5th rounder on my board. But he apparently signed with the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent. Tayon Fleet Davis of Maryland is signing with the Chiefs per a source. And former South Dakota linebacker Jack Cochran is signing with the Chiefs per source. So,
and I think his wife actually helps him with the phonetics. She's pretty good with them.
Oh, Liz.
What now?
Well, we've been talking for a little bit here, guys. We gave all of our draft grades, right? So overall, Aaron, how would you grade it? And I know your grades have been a little bit lower than mine.
Let's go with the B+. We got some really good value for most of it. There's just the last few guys I don't know much or who they are other than Jalen. I like that pick a lot.
Right. Yeah. I would go with that. I'd go with the B+. I don't know how you or anyone else, watching felt, but first day, was kind of roller coaster for me. Again, though, that's because there were players that I liked better. Nothing against those players, just I liked other players better. And when you see, someone that you like and you think they're better and they're still on the board, and then you see the team go in a different direction, it just kind of does that. But I felt really good about day 2. Like yesterday, I'm like, even though there were some players I liked a little bit better, like at no point was I like, who or why, for any of those players. And so when we got to today, it was kind of more, but that's because when you get to day 3, there's still some guys that you like, and you see the team go in different directions, and it's kind of back to day 1 frustration. But, I'm sure overall.
Look is that.
Overall, I'll get to the place where I'm perfectly fine with the draft. Of course, we're all going to root for all of these guys to go out and, end up Pro Bowlers, because if that happened, it would,
oh yeah,
it'd be amazing for the team. So I'm not rooting against anyone. I still have some sadness, and I hate it. Every year, you develop draft crushes. And the worst thing about draft crushes is that you usually end up watch them go to a team that you hate.
I don't hate Jacksonville. They're not really a threat, but they had a really good draft, especially getting Monteric Brown.
They did. They had a good draft. I felt the Ravens had a good draft. I think the Packers had a good draft. The Jets and Giants, I thought, at least earlier in the draft, had a pretty good draft. And Seattle, for the picks that they had, Seattle is making me mad with some of the players that they that they took.
Yeah. They took a lot of my guys. Dallas took a lot of my guys. Pittsburgh and Cleveland had kind of sneaky good drafts.
Yeah, Pittsburgh took like 12 receivers, didn't they?
Yeah, some good ones.
They took Pickett and then for quarterback, and then they gave him Calvin Austin and George Pickens, who I actually had back to back on my board. I don't know where you had them, but I had them back to back on my board as my sixth and seventh best receivers.
Let's see here.
Tennessee had a good draft too. I think they had a sneaky
Yeah.
good draft. Now, there were quite a few players that they took that I was really intrigued to see the Chiefs, if we'd had the picks to do it, kind of take some of these guys and find a way to make them work and have some fun.
I had Pickens as a mid-second, and you said Calvin Austin at the end of the third.
Yeah. Yeah, I had them right there in the middle of the second.
Sam Williams I had in the second, and he went in the second. That was another draft crush of mine.
Yeah, I had him as a late second. Dallas did pretty good too. They got Damone Clark in what, the fifth round? Like, I know that he's injured, and I know it's a serious injury, but at some point take a chance on some of these guys. But again, like we said, I think that's where our team is, that we were picking guys with higher floors and we weren't taking the risks because we had a lot of spots to fill on this team. Next year we have something like 22 guys under contract for 2023. Right after this year, we only have like 22 guys under contract.
I think a lot of these guys were to help for next season as well.
Right. And
I actually like Drew Lock, Oregon. I'm a Mizzou guy. And he's from Lee Summit, where I grew
up. I didn't see the Drew Lock part there, because there were quite a few players who didn't even try to fake a smile when they got drafted. I think some of these guys had it in their minds that they were going to get drafted by the Chiefs or the Packers or the Chargers or the Bills or something, and then the Lions and the Jets start drafting guys. So let me see who you're talking about here. The
Jets got a lot of guys.
Seattle took Bo Melton, Derek Young. Those are the two receivers I have that they took, right? Bo Melton and Derek Young.
Bo Melton, they got really good value out of. I think they got him at the end of the sixth or.
Yeah, they took him. They took him like right before they took Derek Young. Derek Young was another draft crush I had. I think I was sending you and Gooch texts about him the other day, just because of the offense he was in. I'm not saying he's Deebo Samuel. You can't say anyone's Tyreek Hill, because they're one of a kind guys. But the offense Derek Young played in, they had him, lined up behind the line of scrimmage, and they were handing the ball off. They were, throwing him screens, and he was running routes. Like, he was being used quasi, similarly to the way the 49ers used Deebo. So, and I mean, he had a great athletic profile as well. He just a small school kid, from Lenoir-Rhyne.
So Seattle got Mafe, who we maybe should have picked. And then they got Kenneth Walker. Good running back. They got Abraham Lucas that Ryan liked a lot.
Liz, are you talking about Drew Lock?
Probably. Possibly. Even though she's from Lee Summit too.
Yeah.
Right by her house.
So they didn't even tell Lock he was traded?
She said yes.
Yeah, 100%. Another reason why the Broncos are trash. They didn't even tell him he was traded. That is absolutely terrible. Ollie, we're glad you're back. We haven't talked about hand size at all, though, since you've been gone.
What's the deal there? Go ahead and let us know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Hand size?
Right.
Oh, we were in Thunder Dan's stream the last couple of nights, and Holly likes to know the prospects' hand size. That's it. And we happened to draft guys that had big hands in this draft. So even Kennard, our offensive lineman, he had the biggest hands in the draft. So it wasn't just that Skye Moore had big hands, which is going to help him.
Holly was helping them. Is that what you're saying?
I think she thinks that the Chiefs are going to add her to their staff because she's on to a market inefficiency or something. Ollie, we're so glad you're here. She has brothers and I only had sisters, so she knows I'm giving her a hard time.
She gets in on videos with us. She knows how we are.
Very true, Oregon. I'm sure there was a lot of hard feelings, probably a lot of disappointment. I'll say that, growing up, if I grew up rooting, for a team and loving a team, and then I ended up having to go play for one of their arch rivals. It's harder to call them a rival since they haven't won the AFC West in a while, but I'm sure I would be a little bitter too. Yes, we have. We have established that. If I have to, I'll take the shirt off and I'll sit here topless. I can't do that because then you would see my Chargers tattoo.
Uh-oh.
I'm kidding.
It's back on again. Well, this has been bugging me to go watch Netflix. What's that show? Ozark. She wants to finish Ozark real bad.
Oregon, that's a hard pass on me too. And if I didn't have to look at my picture here, it wouldn't be so bad. But since I do, it's a hard pass for me as well.
For me, hard pass on me too, right, Oregon? I'm not getting topless.
I don't have a Chargers tattoo.
I'm 40 now.
All right, do you guys have any questions for us here as we wind down? Hopefully next time Gooch can be here to join us because I know he'll have a lot more to say.
The being back.
This is our first live, guys. We're excited to be doing a live. We've been, even on RGR, we've had to do recorded shows, so it's fun to actually get to interact with everyone.
Yeah, and this was kind of Ryan's idea. He kind of brought it up to me one day on what the three of us thought about starting our own channel. So we are still with RGR. We'll still be doing videos, and I'll still be in the chat. And I've actually been working nights. Liz has been doing the moderating duties. So watch out for that. She's probably going to be more strict than me.
It's safe to do any show when we have Gooch live. That's for sure. That's another reason why Ryan. That's the reason. I'm pretty sure whatever Gooch would say is the reason why Ryan didn't want us to do live shows. Is he wants to keep the channel family friendly and not have any stress. Oh, he's in the chat.
I've got an issue myself. I've cussed a few times. We haven't talked about whether we're doing that or not yet, but yeah, I gotta watch my mouth better if we're gonna do that.
Bill, what was oh, you gave us the results, huh? Raiders were the lowest with Chargers right behind.
Shout out Gooch, huh?
I think that's supposed to be shut up. Oh.
Sure it's not shout out?
Shout out to Gooch. No, it's Liz talking, so it was definitely supposed to be shut up, Gooch. Right? Liz, tell me I'm right. That was supposed to be shut up, Gooch.
She already wrote shut.
Oh, okay. Gooch, what do you want us to keep talking about? Oh yeah, keep going, but you're gonna leave, right?
Listened. We gotta carry the channel now. We're gonna change it to AK. That's not a bad name either, honestly. Kind of funny.
AK, Frank Clark's favorite gun. No, his favorite gun's an Uzi. Sorry.
Good to go. Is that what GTG is?
I think that's gotta go.
Ah, okay. Liz just yelled it at me after you said it.
I heard her. So Derek Young.
Can't hear the dogs, but you can hear the wife.
Derek Young, not to beat a dead horse, but Seattle's definitely giving Drew Lock some weapons there. Derek Young had Holly. He had 10 and 1. What is that? I gotta do the math here. 1/10 of an inch hands, 10 and a tenth of an inch hands. He's 6'2", 224 pounds. Did 22 reps in the bench as a receiver. 37-inch vertical, 11-foot broad jump, 4.44.40.
I want to say Kennard only did like 20 reps on the bench press.
Well, this is a receiver, so, but yeah. You're saying he's stronger than a linebacker, offensive lineman. I can see if I can validate that. I had all the numbers here, but that seems pretty low.
Well, I could see them stopping. He's like 20's good enough.
He has
later.
He has pythons for arms. Yeah, he must have had a bad day. 20 reps on the bench. There is no way. There's no way. Have you seen his arms?
Do you have a picture?
His forearms are bigger than my head. Yeah, I got a picture. Give me a second. His forearms are bigger than my head. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on here. I don't have it on my iPad where I can share it. Massive.
Yeah, that's a scary looking dude.
Like his forearms might be bigger than his biceps.
I could do 20 reps. No, I can't.
That is a great question, Holly.
20 years ago, maybe.
I do not know the answer to that. I don't know.
I want to
Aaron?
say 225, I believe, is what they do. As many times as you can, 225. Because everybody can lift 225.
Yes,
As
that's
a
right.
professional athlete.
225. Now, I've heard plenty of people out there, that are like strength and conditioning guys say that bench is a stupid thing to have them do, and there are other lifts that they should do that would give a better gauge of strength. So,
But chest for a lineman, you should be able to do that a lot.
yeah, you would think so. Like I
You're
mean,
in
it's not
the
the
whole
best
game
measurement,
as
but
an
yeah.
offensive lineman, and you're pushing. So
If you
for
watch him on
linemen, I
tape,
could
though,
see for wide receivers and others, nah.
you
But
watch him on
linemen,
tape though, and he has some explosion in his arms if you watch him on tape. I think I sent you a clip of he was going up against Trayvon Walker, right? That was the game against Georgia, and he
yeah, I'd like to
basically
see more of that game.
pushed Walker. It was a run play, and he pushed Walker out of the way so he could go up to the
Just
second level and block another guy.
just tossed him to the side,
Right.
which he stayed on his feet, but he was out of the play.
Yeah, I mean that's all he had to do is throw him out of the way so he could get to the next guy. He threw Walker
Took
away
on
from
a
where the running back
linebacker.
was going. So
Yeah, so Stevie sees him as the starting right tackle. I'm willing to give Niang a little more time and use this kid as the swing tackle. But if this guy can beat out Niang, I have no problem with him starting and having Niang as the swing.
well, and I mean the only reason I say that is, well, other than because I've read it other places, is that he's still more athletic than Orlando Brown, who they trust at left tackle. So, I mean, I think maybe the fact that they drafted him now, he does have guard tackle flexibility there, but I don't think that Trey can play right tackle, and so I don't think you're going to see him come in there. Maybe he's only a backup. Maybe he's the sixth offensive lineman, and we're not going to use a tight end when we get to goal line. Maybe we're going to bring him in. Maybe we're going to bring him in when we get to goal line and go six offensive linemen instead of having Blake Bell. I don't know.
There go Liz and Gooch in the chat.
I think we touched on this briefly, Holly. It was certainly somewhat shocking to me, but when you consider how little cornerback depth we had, and again, as I said, next year we have like 22 guys under contract, not counting this rookie class, and so it was basically Sneed, Fenton, Baker, and Luke. I should have looked up his name by now, like Luke Baroque or whatever, are basically the four corners that they had.
Familiar.
And so, add these three guys and you're up to seven. If any of them play special teams, so I think it makes sense there. And it could just be part of it, could just be, they had the 3 7th rounders, and so they just wanted to throw some numbers at it and, hope 2 or 3 of these guys stick.
I knew it was coming. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to throw out, I don't even have it here anymore, but I was going to throw out Kennard's numbers. But when you compare it to Brown, he's definitely more athletic than Brown. And if they're fine with Orlando being our left tackle, then I don't see any reason why Kennard couldn't be our right tackle. You know, if we're going more, if we're going to go more run heavy, and we don't know, but if we are, it would certainly make sense. So it's an everyday thing, Ollie.
Let's see if I can get this to. There you go. If I didn't shake, you might be able to read. You're muted, bud.
All the green on there is either great or elite, and for Orlando's profile, the green is only his height and weight. So
It's probably good, right?
but yeah, I mean we'll see what they do. If Niang is the swing tackle, you know, which is what I think is what they were planning to do last year. You know, they had him learning left tackle. Well, I don't want to say learning left tackle, but practicing both before the season began. And then when Orlando went down, he was the next guy at left tackle, and then he went down, and then they moved Tooney over to left tackle. And so, you know, I think it makes sense if you want to have the same kind of tackle on both sides so that you can run to either side and you have basically the same expectations for pass blocking on both sides, especially if, and I hope we do, especially if we go more under center and we have a real run and play action pass game to kind of make up for those explosive plays that teams took away from us last year. He is what he is, Holly. This is one reason why I am dead set against paying him a lot of money on an extension.
I
not. Mean, he is a statue athletically, and it scares me. If he transforms his body
hard to move
this year,
statue.
Well, I mean, as long as if Patrick learns how to play quarterback with him as his left tackle, then, you know, maybe it's not a problem. But, I mean, could you imagine him blocking for Brady or Roethlisberger? Like, they would be dead. And that's my big thing. Yeah, power guys aren't going to beat Orlando, but speed guys are. And I think I said this in an episode of The Huddle before. What are you going to do as a defensive coordinator? You're going to put your speed edge on Orlando Brown.
But he's consistent against elite talent.
Well, I mean, he got beat up really bad in some games. So if they want to help
some speed guys, yes, you're right.
If they want to help him, and to be honest, you know, and if Gooch was here, he would tell us. To be honest, Patrick could have helped him a lot, and Patrick didn't.
Yeah.
You know, if he does a better job this season, then
watching how far he drifts back.
Right. If the two of them, if Orlando gets, oh, my dog just jumped up. If Orlando gets better, you know, if he works on cutting a little weight and, you know, turning some of that fat into some quick twitch muscle fiber, and Patrick gets better at not dropping so far back, which he started to do. They both started, you know, to make some progress. If they continue to do that, the two of them, you know, it's going to help a lot. And so, I mean, yeah, if that happens, then fine. You know, it'll probably work out great. But otherwise, I don't like it long term. And if they could get a more athletic tackle. And, of course, some of that was we went after Trent Williams, who has a great athletic profile and great technique. He has an injury history, but athletically, he's an athletic freak at left tackle. And then we went the exact opposite direction. So,
Well, I know Veach says this a lot, but he's confident they can sign him long term. I believe he says that every time, though. So it's kind of a generic answer to reporters.
Well, and I the fact that he's not signed long term isn't a big deal right now because I think Veach said in his pre-draft presser that he doesn't have an agent right now. Orlando doesn't have an agent, so he expects that maybe he'll get one here now that the draft's over, and so that might speed things up now that the draft is over. Once they get the UDFAs signed, if Orlando gets himself an agent, or he might continue to represent himself, and we know how those things usually go because out of negotiations, you got to tell the guy, you tell the agent why you're not going to pay him the money that you're seeking, and then feelings get hurt and
punches get thrown, huh?
Only if you're George Pickens. Yep, he's a Yorkie.
Liz loves Yorkies too. I like my big dogs. There's some good Yorkies out there, though.
I assume this has to do with Tyron, right?
I'm sure.
And I feel bad for Tyron, and I saw his tweet last night, about potential and production being two different things. But, I don't know. I still think it's weird, the whole direction, they took with the defense. Not that we needed, I don't think Hitchens and Sorensen or Neiman, not being on this team surprised anyone, and I don't think there are that many people that are sad about it. But those three plus Tyron being gone, that's a lot of awareness, a lot of veteran, whatever you want to say, leadership, I guess. I don't know that I call Neiman a leader. Hitchens and his stuff on Instagram didn't really show him to be a leader either. But, seeing all that veteran leadership, the guys who knew what Spags was going to do really has me, I don't say scratching my head because I think we got good, solid talent, but I was surprised that they were willing to go, this young and not have any veterans to really, at the second and third levels, to really help these guys learn. Now with Gay and Bolton, it might not be a big issue with the linebacking core because Bolton got a year with Hitchens. But in the secondary, I mean, we had Snead and we have Thornhill, and that's really it who, got to pick up anything from Tyron.
Well, I love Danilo to death, but we are working on 2 hours and working on towards Danilo time.
The funny thing is, Aaron, is you say that Liz wants to watch Netflix, but she's the one who keeps the show going.
Yeah. So, you wondered when we were going to watch it. You were now told it is on you.
Liz, I know that Aaron's not going to touch this subject, and I don't know that I am because I think I've already said my piece, and I try to look at it from every angle. I think I'm more disturbed about what Hitchens said, that sparked like the whole controversy on Twitter or Instagram, because it was actually on Instagram. And just the whole, if you guys aren't familiar, his whole idea of basically what Hitchens said was, we won a championship and we're going to rest on that. And
you guys
I
are toxic for wanting more.
I had a huge problem with that. Like, yeah, great. This team won a championship. Great. But if you're not hungry for more and you're just going to keep looking to the past, then we got problems, because we have two different goals here, right? That's not the attitude that you would have seen during the New England dynasty.
Right.
Oh yeah, we won one last year, take it easy. No, the fans had high expectations. The team had high expectations. The coach had high expectations. The owner did. And I think that's the same in Kansas City. And if there were players who didn't put that same level, and Tyron totally isn't that player, right? Even in training camp, he was the first person on the field. Probably the last one off the field, too.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Holly.
We haven't shown you guys anything, but yeah.
I don't think we're technically supposed to, but I'm sure with where we're at with viewers at the moment, we could get away with some stuff.
What's that?
Showing videos and whatnot. We could show a picture of Danilo or something. He'd be okay with it, though.
Yeah, that.
Any media is good media.
That one is perplexing to me too, because he came out and said he knew basically a year ago that he wasn't going to get an offer. But I do, if I recall correctly, I think Veach had said, they had those discussions, and it seemed like, from what I picked up from Veach, that what he got from Tyron's agent was they were really far apart on value. And so I don't know if that's one of those things where they didn't want to insult him with an offer that he was seen as a complete lowball offer, because he probably would have played even worse this past season. I don't know. It's kind of conjecture, but I certainly thought it was. I agree that it was interesting that they didn't even make him an offer. Maybe that was all the unknowns, knowing that they were going to have to give Orlando Brown Jr. something after trading, for him, and knowing that they were going to have to do something with Tyreek's contract and all those on Frank's contract. Maybe Veach just really didn't know. And he just told the agent, hey, we'll have to figure this out or look at it, once the offseason actually starts, because right now we're really far apart. And I could see that, and I can understand that.
I was also very frustrated with fans wanting to make those comments of fire Veach, fire Andy, fire Spags, trade Mahomes. It's a little absurd. Spags, I guess you could talk about it with the people that he would play, I guess. His personnel, I didn't care for all the time, but I don't think fire him. That's just me, but yeah, those got frustrated being in RGR videos, constantly reading those. It was getting to me. I don't like losing either, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much that it's going to happen. I think it's that how it happened, and that a lot of the ways we lost were preventable, right? We joke about Sorensen running to the sideline, to get a sip of water and busting coverages. It's that kind of frustrating thing of how often he and Neiman or whoever, uh, just a lot of that different usage. So, for that one, I'm a lot more forgiving with a fan saying fire Spags because, hey, look, there was a lot of things he did that looked fireable. And then you had some really good defensive coordinator candidates, out there who were available that we could have replaced him with. So I understand that. The trade Patrick stuff, I think, was probably at the top of the most ridiculous.
Definitely.
Because there would not in a million years would you, but even
there
if
are
you
2 people I actually ended up kicking out because that's all they would say over and over in the chat. And I warned them.
and I don't even understand that mindset. I don't. I mean, even if you wanted to, and not in a million years would you, but even if you wanted to, like financially, you couldn't. So it's a dumb position to even take off the bat. Yet at the same time,
Agreed.
I understand that the underlying tone is frustration, right? You're
Yes.
paying Patrick Mahomes $500 million. You want to see more progression out of him. You want to see better decision making. And in some of those games, he looked downright embarrassing, and so I can understand, fans, we take out our frustrations in different ways. And so, that is what it is. Yes, Marty Ball was a very frustrating time for this fan base.
Run up the middle.
What I loved, though, was we played defense, and I think that's part of it, too. Until, for the most part,
We had some
until,
good defenses back then.
and even Sutton had, a good defense for a year or two. Like, we get used to stuff as Chiefs fans. We're used to, we've had a line of high quality tight ends. We've had a line of high quality running backs, of high quality fullbacks, of, some pretty good cornerbacks, linebackers, pass rushers. I mean, when you look at the lineage and the progression, from like Derek Thomas to who would be in between Derek Thomas and Jared Allen, then Jared Allen to Tamba Hawley, and Hawley to Houston, and there was a progression. There was always a progression at a lot of these positions and the defense was always
Smith,
really tough. And so people were used to that. The Chiefs always had a great running back, for the most part, a great offensive line and a great defense, and you could even, I guess, to an extent, say a great coach. And so, we had to suffer through years with a bad quarterback. And as a fan base, it can be easy to want a whole complete team, to have that great defense, right? When we were playing Marty Ball and we had that great defense, what we wanted was a great quarterback, right? And we had that with Montana. And,
I like DeBerg.
Anybody but Bono.
A superstar, but yeah, pretty much. My brother had a giant man crush on Kyle Orton.
Neckbeard, right? That was Orton.
I don't know. He was a big drinker. He always had Jack or something with him. I know that much.
If I recall correctly, he's the one who he just wanted to be a backup. Like the games that he had he actually had to start, like he hated it, right? And then he left. And then he left us to go to
us?
Yeah, like he didn't.
Yeah,
because
we had no offensive line. The only way he was as protected as he was he was calling the blocking. And then he still ended up hitting his thumb, I want to say, on somebody's helmet. And He was done the rest of the year. Dislocated and tore it up. Something like that. It wasn't necessarily his thumb, though.
But yeah, my overall point was, I think that there, as fans,
Agreed.
we suffered so long of not having that great quarterback, right? Like that was the missing piece, was a great quarterback. We had the great defense, we had the great running back. We needed the great quarterback, and then we get the great offense, and we lose the great defense, and people, it's kind of like we want the complete team, right? So I think that's an honest frustration.
Might be a way to balance, though, was this draft. Agreed.
Which I don't even know that we know what the topic is here. Liz, I agree with that. I think we have a great start here for the defense. I'm still a little confused what they're going to do with the defensive line, the pass rush there. But I think from linebacker on, I feel pretty good, about the other 6, 7, 8 guys.
Yep.
And it only takes one signing, right? It only take Melvin Ingram. If we got him back, then that would completely change, my picture of the defensive line.
Which
but right now
they were negotiating.
Right now, I just don't know. And maybe Colin really is a better defensive line coach, like, head and shoulders better than Brendan Daly. Maybe he is, and maybe that's going to be where our defensive line improvement comes.
You want to jump in, Gooch?
I thought we were trying to end this.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean,
have him relieve me.
Your wife says that she wants to watch Netflix, yet
she keeps making comments.
And she makes comments that, for the most part, I agree with. I think, and I said this the other day, I think Ingram was the one guy on this defensive line, well, most of the defense, who looked like he wanted to be there, who looked like he was full of fire, and every down, he looked like he was willing to bleed to make a stop.
I am not, though.
Why don't we just go ahead and announce that we're going to end this right here before Liz can get another comment in here. Now I know how Ryan feels with the super chats.
And you did it to him for years. But yeah, time to eat too. Everyone, thank you for coming by. Thank you for subbing. And we'll be back.